And good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in to Cool Radio. And we're going to do something that we've teamed up with the York News Times for the last couple of years. Whenever we have an election, we're going to do a candidate forum. We are coming to you live from the Kilgore Memorial Library tonight. And I'll hand it over right now to Carrie Colburn from the York News Times. Carrie.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. As Jean said, I am Carrie Colburn. I am the publisher at the York News Times, and we are also pleased to be here this evening in partnership with Jean Curtis and the Rural Radio Network for our 2022 City Council Election Forum. Thank you to the candidates for joining us this evening, as well as all of you here and everyone listening. I'm going to explain a little bit about how the forum will run. The forum will begin with opening statements by each of the candidates lasting up to 3 minutes. Following that, we will have 4 rounds of questions drawn at random, again lasting up to 3 minutes, and then we'll finish with a 1-minute closing statement. Candidate Christy Lonas let us know that she had a prior engagement, so she will not be with us this evening, but you can look for her responses to our election questions that she and all the other candidates running for all the various races in our area that will be coming out in the News Times in the coming weeks. With that, we will begin at the far end with Candidate Piper.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming, showing interest in our local city government. My name is Jeff Piper. I was born in York, raised here. Went to Emmanuel Lutheran School, graduated York High School, then 7.5 years later, just a short 7.5 years later, graduated from UNL, moved back to York, got married, started a family here. Currently I'm running a family plumbing and well drilling business here in town. I'm seeking my 3rd term on the City Council. I was elected in 2014 to serve here. I'm a conservative Christian young man that values family and local people, and that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Candidate McGregor, if you'd like to join us at the podium.
Good evening. My name is Jeff McGregor. I grew up in York, Nebraska. I was born in Omaha, actually, but adopted, and my parents brought me back to York, and this is where we've lived ever since I was here. So I grew up here, went to York High School as well, graduated from York High School in 1987, and joined the Navy in 1988. I was in the Navy for 21 years up until 2009, July 31st, 2009, I retired. Started working for the federal government out in Groton, Connecticut, and Rhode Island, and in Newport, Rhode Island. And I got a longing for basically my roots, I guess. Kind of like the environment in the small town in Nebraska, the culture and the values that are here. I saw cultures on the East Coast that I didn't agree with and didn't want to be a part of, and I grew tired of them. And plus I want to be back by my family here, so I came back to be my mom and dad. And when I got back here, I did something that I hadn't finished in the Navy. I actually finished my bachelor's degree through Doane when I was 50, and been serving my country and my fellow veterans for about 33 years now. And now I've been around long enough to see a little bit of York and, again, get reacquainted, and now I want to have a civic duty and participate in that and do what I can for the betterment of this community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Candidate Postier.
Thank you. My name is Stephen Postier. I also went to York High School here, grew up in the community, went off to the University of Nebraska, graduated with double majors in finance and business management, and minored in political science. Got the opportunity to move back home where my wife and I wanted to, when we did have kids, we wanted to raise them, be around family, and being back in this great community. I work at Henderson State Bank here in town. I'm a loan officer there, branch manager of the York location. And my wife and I also own Canine Kennels, dog boarding. That's her deal. She works a lot from home. We've got 4 kids. I've spent most of my life back here in York, serving in various facets of the community, whether it's in the Rotary Club, various boards, Library Foundation, various other groups just that pop up with the sidewalk or the pedestrian access committee through Four Corners, lots of various groups throughout town that I've been involved with, and I've always had a passion for serving and giving back. It's something I wanted to instill for my kids as well, and make this a community, to continue making this a community that I like to call home, and a great community for them as they grow older. So that is why I'm running for city council, to just have another facet to serve and to give back to our town here. Thank you.
Candidate Vinesh?
Good evening. Thank you for all showing up for this. This is a great way to everybody to get to know the candidates. I'm Scott Van Esch. Unlike the other 3 so far, I did not grow up here. I grew up in Washington State. Lived out there, started a family, and we moved out here in 2005 for other family reasons. But we grew to love York. I had a heavy civil construction background in Washington State. I did that for a little while here. Started working for the family business. I'm related to the Moguls at Moguls Transmission and Towing. So I've been doing that now for almost 17 years now here. This would be, I'm seeking my second term. I felt 4 years ago when I thought I had something to offer. The town I grew up in was about the size of York when I was a child. By the time we moved out here, it was about the size of Grand Island. So I got to see a lot of how towns grow and the different things that you can expect when growth happens. So I thought with that perspective, that would be helpful on the council. I've been excited these last 4 years. I really appreciate these last 4 years. It's been a real great learning experience. I'm real excited about the future for York, the trail project. I'm on the committee for the Ann Palmer Museum, so we've been working really hard on that, trying to get a new goals, a new purpose for that to reinvigorate Ann Palmer's visions. So that's why I decided to run again. I want to see some of these projects through, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And candidate Northrup.
Hi, I'm Vicki Northrup. First, I want to thank everybody for being here. I appreciate your interest, the people listening on the radio and watching on the live feed. I appreciate that. Excuse me. I was born and raised in York. My mom and dad were Tommy and Adair Toms. My grandfather was on the York City Council for 8 years. He was the president. And my Uncle Paul also served on the city council. And serving the community has always been something my family it was a priority for all of us. So when we moved back to York, we lived here until 1998, and then I got a teaching position in Hastings, and my husband's family is in Clay Center. So we chose to move that direction for a while, and then we always knew we'd retire back here. So I retired early, and we moved back and took care of my parents for a while, and then Mom and Dad said, "Would you please buy our house?" And we said, "Absolutely." So we are back. I graduated in 1978 from York High. I went to York College, which was York College then. I graduated from York University. Got my bachelor's from UNK. Both my master's degrees are from Doane College, now Doane University. And I am all but dissertation on my doctorate through Concordia. So I've had multiple different jobs over all the years besides teaching. Teaching is where my passion is. And I was asked to come back and teach at St. Joe. So now I'm teaching part-time up at St. Joe for the middle school students. And I really love it. I'm glad to be back. I like to be able to serve the community. I'm here because I want to be a voice for all the citizens in the community. I'm glad to see so many good things happening in York now. We have lots of good things we've started and that we're following through on, some things we've wanted to get done for a long time. I have some other good ideas and some things I'd like to see us try, and try to build the community a little bit more, maybe build our downtown, work on our north side of town, some different things that I have ideas for. And my mom and dad raised me to be a problem solver. And so rather than be part of the problem, I'll be part of the solution. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we're going to start with our first questions. Now, all of the candidates have an envelope with the same questions in them, but we will be reaching in and drawing out blind, so we have no idea what question we're going to grab and what question we're going to read. It is possible that you may get repeat questions, but let's start this off. Candidate Piper, will you please come back up to the podium and we'll pose your question. Do you feel the city should build a new satellite office for police and fire by the interchange, as there's activity that is increasing there, as well as on the interstate itself?
Yes, I would agree we should if we had unlimited funds. I definitely think that's something we should look towards and budget for and look to the future. Right now, I believe we're stretched pretty wide and thin from having our stations downtown and all the activity out the interstate. But I would think that's something to look at for in the future and make sure that we're covered there. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, we have a question for candidate McGregor.
There are a number of problematic residential properties in the city with rundown buildings, garbage, and other issues. How do you feel the city should handle these types of issues?
Thank you for the question. I believe that the city should review its ordinances, make sure that we're aware of what they actually are, and make sure we notify these people, give them ample opportunity to take care of their problem, and if they're not taking care of it, we need to follow through on it. There are a number of properties in the city of York that need to be cleaned up and have a lot of things that are cluttering up the place, if you want to look at it that way. And I'm sure there's plenty of people that have been given the opportunity and haven't taken the chance or taken the time to do it. Maybe some people don't respond because they don't have the means or they don't know what to do. They might be lost. So make sure that we keep all avenues of communication open so that we can make sure that they're aware completely and that they have the opportunity to get it taken care of. But I definitely feel like we should enforce the ordinances and do everything that we can to make sure we keep our city as clean as possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Up next, we have candidate Steve Postier. The city has sold all the industrial land it owned, as all the parcels in the industrial park and east of NPPD Operations Center have been purchased by private owners. Would you support the city purchasing more ground to hold for economic development purposes?
Thank you for the question, Gene. I'm a big proponent of economic development. I think it's vital for the future of our community. All the facets, from stuff the city's involved in to things our businesses are involved in, what YCDC is doing here in the community, all vital players here in our community. For the aspect of the city, I think it is good to have land available, so as projects come up, there is something available, whether that's full-on purchasing land or looking at other options like options to purchase land, getting contracts in place. I think we need to be a key player in that development as we continue to grow York.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Candidate Scott Vanish, if you'd join us at the podium. The city has started the process toward building a new fire station. Money has been set aside as a beginning of saving for this substantial investment. Do you have any feelings about where a new station could be located, how it could be funded, and features that should be included?
Yes, I mean, we've talked about this, and yeah, we do know the fire station needs to be addressed. That's why we set some money aside for that. I just got done doing a tour with the Columbus Fire Department's new station, and the amenities they have there is, Tony was with us, the fire chief, and he really likes what a new facility would look like instead of a remodel like we've talked about as well. I would support continue, it'd be nice to be able to continue putting money away aside so that the eventual, if we had to call on a bond of some sort to build the fire station, wouldn't have to be as much as a responsibility that way. So it'd be nice to be able to save for the next few years here and get a plan and find a place to build it. Because that, I've heard Tony mention towards one end of town to the other where a lot of their calls are. They're using a lot of that information to try to be more responsive that way. So, but yeah, I definitely would support that. We're going to have to do something here in the next probably 5 years or so, and hopefully we can save enough money to make that purchase in the end more affordable for the taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Up next, we have candidate Vicki Northrup. This is going to be an easy and a difficult question. I'm just warning you. What are York's greatest assets?
Oh my gosh. Thank you for the question. York is a wonderful community. We have lots of things for people from all ages, many things that we offer, activities. It's the right size, I felt, to grow our family. Two of my boys are back with us, and my grandson's growing up here, and I'm thrilled that they're back in the York area. We do a good job in York of meeting all the different requirements, of people in the community. Police, fire department, library, all the different kinds of services that we provide in York. And we work hard to build our reserve, which I think is important, because then if we have an emergency, we do have a reserve. For our city council has seen to it that we do have money put away in case we would need something. We have a brand new wastewater treatment plant. Now we're talking about building a new fire station. I'm assuming if we do that, it would be state of the art. We have an amazing public school system. We have 2 great private schools. We have a wonderful university here in town, and our high school I love it. I sub up there a lot, and I love being up there. We have lots of just so many good things, positive things, and I think that our community would benefit from more economic development. I think we would benefit from more businesses coming in downtown, and that would just make our community even better.
Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Jeff Piper, we'll invite you back to the podium. According to information from the York County Development Corporation and other entities, this community is in great need of more child care opportunities. What, if any, should the city's role be in helping to solve this issue?
Tough one. I would probably say, thanks for the great question. Providing, I guess, space for child care, affordable child care. I don't know the relationship between the city and how that could happen, I guess. Probably look at our any empty buildings around town to force space for child care, and recruit people to basically get good people to take care of our youth. But the most important thing is probably the YCDC is marketing our city as a great place to be, to try to recruit the talent to bring in to have good young people to take care of our young children. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Up next, candidate Jeff McGregor. We have our first repeat question of the night. The city has started the process toward building a new fire station. Money has been set aside as a beginning of saving the substantial investment. Do you have any feelings about where a new station could be located and how it could be funded and features that should be included?
Thanks again for the question. And kind of goes back to almost like the other question that was posed to one of the candidates about the satellite location out by the interchange. I think that when we look for a new site for the station, we should almost, it would be nice to have a central location, but if we have more calls and more need in that general area. Since we're going to be investing so much money in a new station, it might be better to make it actually a little bit closer to that end of town or more accessible to that end of town so that we don't have to double the expenditure by building the satellite. Places that I've looked at, though, too, that we could be a little bit closer that way without spending as much money is if we utilize land that the city already owns, like where the city trucks and everything are out by the Beaver Creek Park, is that what it's still called? The ballpark out there, or where the old wastewater treatment center was. We own the property, we just have to renovate it and then build up to that, build the new station there. So we would have pretty good access to the south end of town out there on the interchange, but still be able to hit the main roads and get down to the north end if we needed to quick enough as well. So I think that's one of the ways I'd look at. Continue to build the reserves as we need to. You know, I'm not really a big proponent of overtaxing or anything like that either, so I don't want to dig into people's pockets more than we have to, and I would definitely make sure that that was something that the community was in line with, that they had an opinion that they felt that we were doing the right thing by doing that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Candidate Stephen Postier. How do you feel the city handled the situation with moving the Palmer Museum? Do you feel it is being adequately utilized now, and do you have any ideas about the museum's future?
Yeah, that was an unfortunate situation, I think, of how it kind of went down. Back in the day, there was a lot of, I think, a lot of hard feelings on both sides of the aisle. I feel like it could have been handled better. A lot more open communication with what needed to be done, what the plan was, and a lot more, I guess, respect for that whole process. For me, one of the ideas I had, and I've shared it with a few others before, I don't know if it's the right solution, but I've always envisioned, as this community continues to grow, things like the library continues to expand, offering more services to our community, of some kind of concept of like an education focused facility where you could bring in the Anna Palmer Museum as a history of York and who we are as a people, working within the library to provide education. That also might touch into some of the daycare needs and education part of the facility, and even in bringing in future technology, 3D printing, co-making spaces where we could actually have kids and people from all ages work together to learn about the history of York and also plan for the future of our community. Working in it, whether it's the same facility or just kind of a general feel of what that would all look like together, to provide ideas for our kids. You could bring in different generations, or maybe the kids are teaching the older generation how to use 3D printers to make stuff. You maybe have some people from YCDC coming in to teach about economic development and how do you use those 3D printers to make a business. I think there's a lot of facets and things we could solve within our community by bringing some of these ideas together and work on a solution for the future.
Thank you very much. Candidate Scott Vanish, please come up for your next question. All right. Got some stuck together there, sorry. According to information from York County Development Corporation and other entities, this community is in a great need of more child care opportunities. What, if any, should the city's role be in helping solve this issue?
I think nationwide that's probably a difficult issue. Locally and city-wise, I mean, the city's there to, we have the inspectors that, can help find buildings that would qualify, and but to bring in, I mean, boy, that's, child care's tough. I mean, my wife has done it, my aunt has done it, or sister-in-law. It's you just got to find the right people, and when a need like that comes along, usually somebody answers that need. So I mean, the city, with what they can or can't do, would love to help anybody that would need help finding a place, finding what they need to do to be able to open a center. But But yeah, that's a tough one. I hope that over the next few years here, yeah, we can definitely, that's something the city needs to help make it a better place to live in. So, but yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Vicki Northrup, if you will join us at the podium. The city has sold all the industrial land it owned, as all the parcels in the industrial park and east of the MPPD Operations Center have been purchased by private owners. Would you support the city purchasing more ground to hold for economic development purposes?
Thank you for the question.
Sorry. The city has sold all the industrial land it owned, as all the parcels in the industrial park and east of the MPPD Operations Center have been purchased by private owners. Would you support the city purchasing more ground to hold for economic development purposes?
Yes, I would. I think if we continue to see sales tax revenues like we have this at the last city council meeting, it was reported it was the highest it's been, and we're not going to get smaller out at the interstate. That's going to continue to grow out there as well. We're talking about possibly putting a satellite police and fire department space out there. If we're thinking about growing that part of the community, and we're also thinking about growing the north side of town, I think it makes more sense if we have the opportunity to purchase land and it's not outrageous and it's not going to break the bank for the city. Absolutely, I think it would be an asset. And I think it would help us as we're working together with the York County Development Corporation as well, if we're able to work together to focus on that area.
Thank you very much. Candidate Jeff Piper, please come up to the podium for your next question. Do you feel the city's LB 357 funds are being spent appropriately? And would there be projects that you would like to see happen with the use of those special spearheaded dollars?
I do believe the LB 357 tax dollars has been a great program for our city since it was voted in by the people in 2014, I believe. The school's done some great projects with that money. It's a great way to bring in out of town, out of county, out of state money to be able to have great projects for infrastructure and school programs in our city by bringing that outside money in, giving us a little deeper pockets for these programs. I think the committee, I don't sit on the LB 357 committee, but I believe they've done a great job of allocating those dollars, working with the schools, and had some great positive things for our city. It's a great deal all along. Thank you.
Thank you.
Candidate Jeff McGregor, if you'll join us at the podium. This year, the city's levy actually decreased. Do you believe the city's real estate tax levy should be allowed to increase in order to create more revenue to be used for more projects or to grow the reserve?
Not necessarily. I don't believe we should be taxing it too high of a level if it's not necessary, digging into people's pockets if we don't have a specific need already generated for those funds. Taking from the citizens and putting it into the pockets of the city just to hold for a rainy day isn't necessarily how I feel the government should handle those things. Some taxation I can understand, and I'm okay with, but taxation at the level like that for unnecessary reasons, most of the time I'll be opposed to that. And smaller government, less overreach. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, Steve Postier. The city has started the process toward building a new fire station. Money has been set aside as a beginning of saving for the substantial investment. Do you have any feelings about where a new station could be located and how it could be funded and features it should include?
Yes. Not being an expert on the design of fire stations, I don't know about the features side of it, But as far as location, if we are replacing our current facility with one location, I think it does need to be centralized as best as possible, or at least easily accessible to all the areas of the community. You look at, as I said, I think about 15% of our calls do go out towards the interstate. North of town, we've got some major manufacturing. If there is a fire or some call emergency out there, it's probably going to be a pretty serious one. I believe PT USA a few years ago had a fire up there. And then, we got a lot of our residential on the east and west side part of the community. So we need to make sure it's easily accessible. We do need to make sure we have the features available, design it so it's as the trucks come in and out, those are big vehicles that they can maintain easy accessibility with that. As I've been going door to door talking to people, I've tried to get some ideas. The one concern that some people have mentioned is, if they are bringing a fire station, if they put it anywhere near a residential area, will you be hearing sirens, all hours of the night, things like that. Whereas right now when it's downtown, there's not a lot of people. There are some living downtown, and I think that people have gotten used to it. But so I've started looking at a few areas around town, and one concept, I don't know if there's some utilization around the bypass that would be easily accessible to the north and south parts of town. And if you situate it in the right way, there could be some major roads that could be utilized to get into the residential parts. I don't know what kind of land the mayor and the city council have been looking at, if there's any that the city does own that could be utilized, or if there would have to be some options to purchase on that. But I think doing some studies of what we currently own and what we might need to best suit the situation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Candidate Scott Vanish. What do you feel the city's role should be regarding economic development? Do you feel the city has been successful in that endeavor in recent years?
I think they work very hard down there at YCDC and even the chamber. It'd be nice. I know everybody wants the like Amazon to move in or something, but I think for what York, location wise, with 81 and 80, that yes, we should be able to pull in some more big companies or some kind of business that can make some more better jobs in York. I think with I don't want to jump onto the other question, but with regards to the city, finding land for economic development, I think that is very crucial to help grow and expand and keep working the city outwards, so that we can expand and hopefully bring in and have, if somebody does want to look into our area, that we have something available for them. So that's very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Once again, we'll bring up candidate Vicki Northrup. Is there one specific area of spending in the city's budget that you believe is not necessarily necessary or should be cut?
At this time, no. I think we've been making good decisions with the money that we have. Our reserves are up right now. And as long as we make good decisions, well-educated decisions, we go out and ask good questions, and we find out where the best choices are for placing new fire departments and placing new businesses and making sure that we have the support we need within the community. I don't think we need to cut the budget right now, that we can focus on building our reserves and using our reserves for projects.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Candidate Jeff Piper, we will invite you back up. If money was no object and the funds were limitless, what single project would you like to see happen in the city of York?
Unlimited funds. Well, I think I'd probably build a new fire police station out by the interstate. I'd buy up all the surrounding ground around, or a little bit here and there as a buffer zone, so we could have ground for economic development. But on the most serious thing, I would make sure there's infrastructure for economic development make sure we have the streets, the water main, the sewer main to provide a good opportunity for growth. I would hire more police officers. This world has challenges with mental health and other certain things in the world. I think law and order is a good thing to have. And I'd probably advertise regionally like YCDC does and make sure everybody knows that we are a great community and put a positive spin on all that. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Up next, candidate Jeff McGregor. Same question to you. If money was no object and the funds were limitless, what single project would you like to see happen in the city of York?
Everything he just said. Thanks for the question. Also, the expansion of available services to all the residents of York. One of the big surprises for me, or that seemed a little shocking when I moved back to the community, was the amount of actual drug activity that occurs in York. So I think, and making efforts to clean some of that stuff up, but also providing help to some of the individuals that need it. And, you can only offer people so much, but you have to offer, give them the opportunity to help themselves. And if they can't, so I would think that we could work on projects like that. But then, especially like Jeff said, infrastructure for the expansion of York is key. Making sure that, we want to grow, we want to be a bigger community, but also maintain, our grassroots type of community. That's one thing that I guess growing up here, I remember it being, this downtown York was, you walk down, it was a little bit of a bustle. It wasn't, it wasn't downtown Lincoln or anything like that, but like when they had the dog day sales in August and stuff like that, having a sports store and stuff downtown and whatnot, so I'd like to see the development downtown as well. The interstate is it's a money grab for us. It's good. But it'd be nice if we could do something like that even out at the north end, if maybe the installation of some kind of strip mall of some sort or whatnot that could attract some attention and business from the northern end of the county and whatnot, but things like that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Candidate Stephen Postier. How do you envision the city of York 4 years from now?
In 4 years, I would like to see the city growing, both in number of people, jobs, better access to daycare, housing, continuing to grow, but also in the quality. I think the city has done a great job in the last few years of really improving the quality of life here in the community. I'd like to see that continued, to continue bringing projects like the Peyton Parker Lane Playground that I was helped bring to town, or to help develop, fundraise for, those kinds of things that really just add to the quality of life to all people in the community. Seeing others come, call York home, and choose to live here and raise their family here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Up next, candidate Scott Van Esch. The city has sold all the industrial land it owned, as all the parcels in the industrial park and east of NPPD Operations Center have been purchased by private owners. Would you support the city purchasing more ground to hold for economic development purposes?
That's a tough one. Yes. I believe that endeavor worked the first time. It's all, obviously we sold it all now. So yes, we need to find where the next area is and where we'd like to find some land, and so we have something available. Because that's sometimes the biggest stumbling point for companies is if the availability. So to have it handy and to have it ready is very crucial. Yes, I definitely support economic development that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Vicki Northrup, if you will join us at the podium. We are currently experiencing an unprecedented labor shortage. What ideas do you bring to the table for the hiring and retention of city employees?
Yeah, that is definitely something that we're dealing with across the country right now. And it's a good question because it's across all different types of services as well. It's not just what York is dealing with, it's what we deal with it in every single place of employment where there aren't people that are able to they can't fill all the positions they need to. So the best thing we can do, in my opinion, is to make York an even better place to work. We provide the facilities that are necessary for the city employees so that they can do their job, so they're not frustrated. Try to do what we can for training services so that people are prepared and don't just walk into a position without any kind of background training or knowledge, that we maybe could offer some of those training programs to new people coming in so that they're prepared and ready for the job, so they don't go in thinking they can do it and then feel like they have failed and then leave the position, or don't even try in the first place because maybe they don't have that background. So we could encourage, even as a community, maybe we could encourage some of those building and trades kinds of jobs and positions and people to come in that can help train those people that can help us, especially the city workers that have to do some of those jobs. They walk in and maybe don't have any background on it, and they have on-the-job training. So if we could maybe provide some of that so it can help build their self-confidence up so that they want to stay and they feel that they're productive to the community, I think that would probably be the best thing we could do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Candidates, that concludes our 4 rounds of questions. So we will move into the closing remarks where we will invite each of you in the same order up to give a 1-minute closing remark and share with us anything that you would like to wrap up with. So candidate Jeff Piper, we will ask you to start, please.
Well, I want to thank you all for coming and showing interest in our local government. I'm proud of our community. I'm proud to have served the last 8 years on the city council. Sometimes it's a balance between work and my 3 young children, but I believe I have 4 more years in me to give it the time and dedication that it takes to research the hard issues and come up with the best solutions. I believe sitting on the council is more of a policy-making position, shouldn't have to deal with day-to-day operations. I believe I'm really happy with where we're at right now with our city administration. They're taking care of things day-to-day, so it kind of takes a little load off the council. Proud to be here, and thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Jeff McGregor, if you'd like to join us.
Thanks again, too, for everyone coming out and the opportunity for me to get out and present myself to you a little bit. I don't have all the answers for every question that the city has going on, and I know that. But that's one of the things, or one of my strengths that I feel that I bring to the table, too, is that I am able to work as a team, and I'm able to listen to people and collaborate with others and come up with the right ideas. The whole panel here, everybody had a bunch of really good ideas about the questions that they were asked. Throughout my Navy career and working with the federal government and everything, I've been a part of different levels of leadership, and the biggest part of that is like a servant leadership mentality, to where you're actually, I'm here for you. So if I were to be elected, I'm your representative, just the way the federal government should be at the highest levels, which seems to have been forgotten by so many people these days. But I would be open to you, accessible, and willing to listen. But I'm just more than happy to work as a team with everybody and try to do what's best for York and make York a great place to live in and a place where people want to come and live. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Candidate Stephen Postier.
All right. Yeah, again, thank you guys all for coming. I think it's very important to be part of the political process, and this showing up is part of that. For me, I do want to touch on one question I didn't get asked, was on the daycare question, because I have been working with the York County York County Child Care Alliance and YCDC and a few others in the community have been working and trying to study this issue. There are over 350 spots of kids in this community that don't have access to daycare. And I feel like the city could be a great catalyst to help bring partnerships, business, public, and private together to help solve the issue through whether it's a daycare center, more education, trying to increase in-home daycare, some licensing, some education. I think there's could be some great resources that the city could be a great tool for. As for me, I would appreciate your vote and support on November 8th, or if you vote early. I'm always open for talking to people. I've been going door to door trying to hear from the community what's important to them. I've got a website, stevenpostier.com, as well as a Facebook page. I plan to keep both open. So if you guys do have any ideas, any questions, I do want to hear from you on what's important to you in this community, because at the end of the day, the people of York are what make York a great community. So thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Candidate Scott Vanesh.
Sound like a broken record, but I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight, listening on the radio, watching on the internet. I really enjoyed these last 4 years, and my wife reminded me. She goes, "Why you when you sign up in the spring?" She goes, "Why are you running?" And I said, "Because I'm not done yet." I said, so. I'd like to use these next 4 years with the experience that I've gained over the first 4 to help broaden and expand my role on the council, and then that excited me, and so that's what this push is for this time. So I'd appreciate your vote on November 8th, or if you're mailing it in tomorrow, or however that goes. But thank you very much.
Thank you. And candidate Vicki Northrup.
I'm going to steal that from you. I would sound like a broken record as well. I do feel like it's important to have a background in working as a team, because the council should work as a team, but we should also be working as a team with the citizens of the community. And communication is a big part of that. And so I would like to make sure, if I am elected to the council, that I am open to emails, phone calls, face-to-face conversations, any kinds of concerns, because I want to be able to share those with our council and represent the taxpayers of the city of York. I think it's important that we work hard. We have been working hard to work toward the future and to build the community. Oh, there's so many things I want to say. I'm like my dad, I talk too much sometimes. If there was one thing that I always wanted to do, it was to represent all the people of York with integrity and accountability. And that's something that I would like the opportunity to do, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much to all of our candidates. Thank you very much for everyone that showed up here at the Kilgore Memorial Library tonight, and everybody that is listening out there. Thank you for tuning in. Just to make you aware, we will have a video of this posted sometime very soon on our Facebook page and on the York News Times, so you'll be able to watch it again, or if there was part of it that you missed, you'll be able to view the whole thing. So Carrie, is there anything you would like to wrap up with here?
No, thank you again. Thank you to the candidates for the wonderful discussion on a bunch of diverse topics, and thank you for your commitment to serve.
Thank you to all the candidates. And thank you very much to the York News Times for inviting us to once again be part of this candidate forum. And everybody, get out and vote. Thank you very much for tuning in tonight.